हाय गाइस। तो आज कल हम लोग किए थे इसे 560 एंड वेलकम टू आवर बैच। दिस इज द बैच फॉर CA इंटर ऑडिट May 25 and September 25 students, September 25 attempt students. And in this batch we will cover all the chapters in CA inter audit. Today's chapter is chapter number 7, completion and review. And yesterday we already discussed essay 560, standards of auditing 560, which is on subsequent events. And now we are discussing essay 570, which is on going concern. Okay. Essay 570, going concern. We already know we already know that every company or anyone who is preparing statement of accounts, balance sheet, income statement, they shall follow going concern principle. Okay, that they should think that their business will not be bankrupt, or it will be a going concern. Okay, so in this, eh, so what are the objective of this standard? What are the objectives of SF 570? Objective of auditor. Okay, of the auditor as per this standard of the auditor to obtain sufficient sufficient appropriate appropriate audit evidence audit evidence regarding and and conclude on the appropriateness the appropriateness of management use of going concern of management use of going concern use of going concern basis of accounting basis of accounting in the preparation of financial statement. Okay. Create use of appropriateness of management use of going concern basis of accounting, and whether a whether a material uncertainty material uncertainty uncertainty exists exists related to related to events or conditions events or conditions events or conditions or events or conditions that may cast significant doubt may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. To as a going concern. To obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding and conclude on the appropriateness of management use of going concern basis of accounting and whether a material uncertainty, appropriateness of management use of first is appropriateness of management use of going concern basis of accounting, appropriateness, and whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that make us significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Okay, and to report in accordance with this essay. To report in accordance with this standard of auditing. Okay, so obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding and conclude on obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Okay, regarding and conclude on the appropriateness of management use of going concern basis of accounting and whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that make a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern and to report in accordance with essay. With this essay. Okay. So what can be the examples? What can be the examples of events or conditions that that may cast significant significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Ability to continue as a going concern. Examples of events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Okay, what can be the examples? There are two events, financial and operation. First is financial. Financial events or conditions. Okay, what can be the examples? Substantial, substantial operating losses. मतलब big chunk of losses, operating losses. Okay. Adverse key financial ratios. Adverse key financial ratios. Okay. Areas or discontinuance of dividend. Areas or discontinuance of discontinuance of dividends. Inability, inability to pay creditors on due date. To pay creditors on due dates. Pay creditors on due dates. Net liability. Net liability or net current liability position or net current liability position. ठीक है, current liability position मतलब your liability side is greater than the your asset side or your current liability side is greater than your current asset side. Net current liability position. And inability inability to comply with the terms of comply with the terms of loan agreement. Comply with the terms of loan agreement. Loan agreement. Okay. So what can be the financial events or conditions? Substantial operating losses, adverse key financial ratios, areas or discontinuance of dividends. Just wait for 2 minutes. Okay. And what can be the operating events or conditions? There are two events or conditions, na? Financial events and operating events. Operating events or conditions. Operating events or conditions. Okay. So what can be the operating events and conditions? Management management's intention to liquidate the entity or cease the operations. Intention to liquidate the entity or to cease operation. Loss of key management. Loss of key management without replacement. Without replacement. Okay. Loss of major market. Loss of major market. Key customer or customers. Key customers. Franchisee license. Franchisee license or principal suppliers or principal suppliers. Okay. Labor deficiencies, labor difficulties, labor difficulties, difficulties. Shortages of important supplies, shortages of important supplies, and emergence of highly successful competitor. Emergence of highly successful competitor. Highly successful competitor. Competitor. Okay, so what can be the operating events or conditions? Management intention to liquidate the entity or cease operation, loss of key management without replacement, loss of major market key customer, franchisee license or principal suppliers, labor difficulties, shortage of important supplies, and emergence of highly successful competitor. Okay, so normally there are two types. Okay, normally two types of events: financial events or condition, and operating events or conditions. But there can be also other indicators that can indicate over that can indicate of events or conditions that make a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. And what can be the indicators? Other indicators. So other indicators will be non-compliance. Normally, students read the financial event and operating events, but didn't read the other indicators. ICI can ask questions from other indicators also, as this is a part of syllabus. So you have to understand the three of events. Okay, uh, financial events or condition, operating events or condition, and other indicators also. Non-compliance with capital or other statutory requirements. With capital or other statutory requirement or other statutory requirement. Pending legal, pending legal or regulatory proceedings, regulatory proceedings against the entity, against the entity that may, that may, if successful, if successful, result in claims, result in claims that the entity is unlikely to be able to satisfy, result in claims that the entity is unlikely, is unlikely to be able to satisfy. What does this mean? This means that if any legal or regulatory proceedings are against the company, which can, if it is successful, results in claim that the entity is unlikely to be able to satisfy, it create a doubt over the continuance of going concern. Okay, okay. Changes in laws, regulation, changes in law or regulation, in law or regulation or government government policy expected to adversely affect the entity, expected to adversely affect the entity. If you remember, when the cryptocurrency boom happened, many companies are there which just which are created and whose business are based on cryptocurrency. Okay, but when the government when the government policy when the government bring the policy of 1% TDS on cryptocurrency transactions. Okay, if you remember, various companies went bankrupt for this policy. Yeah, so ये एक है कि changes in laws or regulation. These are the case of changes in law or regulation or government policy which adversely affects the entity. Okay, uninsured, uninsured or underinsured catastrophes when they occur. When they occur. Okay. So what can be the other in here? Non-compliance with capital or other statutory requirement, pending legal or regulatory proceedings that against the uh, entity that may, if successful, result in claims that the entity is unlikely to be able to satisfy. Changes in laws or regulation or government policy expected to adversely affect the entity, and uninsured or underinsured catastrophes when they occur. Okay. So we identified the events or condition that may cause significant doubt. Identification part is done. Then next part is audit procedures, performing audit procedures. Okay. So what can be the audit procedures? Examples of audit procedures. Examples of audit procedures when events or conditions have been identified. When events or conditions have been identified. What will be the audit procedure? Okay, identified. First will be analyzing analyzing and discussing cash flow, profit and loss, profit and other relevant forecast, other relevant forecast with management. Okay. Second can be analyzing and discussing the the entities latest available latest available interim financial statement. Interim financial statement. Reading the minutes of the meeting. Reading the minutes of the meeting. The meeting. Reading the terms of loan agreement or debenture deed. Reading terms of debenture. Terms of debenture and loan agreement. And determining whether they have been breached. Whether they have been breached. Inquiring of the entity's legal counsel. Inquiring of entity's legal counsel. Evaluating the entity's plan. Evaluating the shortcut is evaluating the entity's plan to deal with unfilled customer orders. Unfilled customer orders. Obtaining obtaining and reviewing and reviewing reports of reports of regulatory requirements, confirming the existence confirming the existence, terms, and adequacy of borrowing facilities and adequacy of borrowing facilities. Borrowing facilities. Okay. So what can be the examples of audit procedures? Okay. Examples of audit procedure: analyzing and discussing cash flow and profit, cash flow, profit, and other relevant forecasts with management. Analyzing and discussing the entity's latest available interim financial statement. Reading the minutes of the meeting. Reading terms of debenture and loan agreements, and determining whether they have been breached. Inquiring entity's legal counsel. Evaluating the entity's plans to deal with unfilled customer orders, obtaining and reviewing reports of regulatory requirements, and confirming the existence, terms, and adequacy of borrowing facilities. Okay. Now, what can be the additional audit procedures? These are the normal audit procedure which should be performed by auditors. Okay, when the events or conditions have been identified. But what can be the other audit procedure or additional audit procedure? Additional audit procedures when events or conditions are identified. What will be the additional audit procedure when events or conditions are identified? The auditor shall obtain no, or shortcut. Additional audit procedures when events or conditions have been identified. It includes it means additional audit procedure when events or conditions identified. It includes where management has not yet performed has not yet performed an assessment and assessment of the entities ability to continue as a going concern request requesting management to make an assessment. Okay, requesting management to make an assessment to make a assessment. Okay, then evaluating management plans, evaluating management's plans for future actions, future actions in relation to in relation to its going concern assessment, going concern assessment. If the entity where the entity has prepared cash flow forecast, cash flow forecast. If the entity prepares cash flow forecast, if entity does not prepare, then we have to request the management to make its assessment and evaluating management plans for future action in relation to going concern assessment. And where the entity has prepared cash flow forecast, evaluating evaluating the the reliability of the underlying data, reliability of the underlying data. Okay, generate to prepare the forecast. Underlying data generated to prepare the forecast. Forecast is based on data, na? Prepare the forecast and and determining whether there is determining whether there is adequate support adequate adequate support for the for the assumptions underlying the forecast underlying the forecast where the entity has prepared the cash flow forecast, then we have to evaluate the reliability of underlying data and determining whether there is adequate support for the assumption underlying the forecast. Okay, because forecast is based on assumption ना कि आपका कैश फ्लो 10% से ग्रो करेगा ऐसा your cash flow will go at a rate of 10%. Okay? Consider whether any additional facts consider whether any additional facts additional facts or information have become have become available since the date of which since the date of which management make its assessment date of which management make its assessment and requesting written representation written representation from management and where appropriate PCWG appropriate PCWG regarding regarding their plans for the plans for the future actions and feasibility of the plans and feasibility of the plan. Okay, So additional audit procedures when events or conditions are identified includes where management has not yet performed an assessment of the entity's ability to continue its going concern, then requesting the management to make its assessment, evaluating management plans for future actions in relation to its going concern assessment, where the entity prepared cash flow forecast, evaluating the reliability of data, and determining whether there is adequate support for the assumption. Then consider whether any additional facts or information have been identified after the date of on which management makes its assessment, and requesting written representation from management and or appropriately regarding their plans for the future actions and feasibility of the plans. Okay. Now, the adequacy of disclosure. Auditor should also check the adequacy of disclosure. Adequacy of disclosures. Okay. It is the duty of the auditor to check adequacy of disclosures. Also, adequacy of disclosures. There are there can be two cases when where when events or conditions identified have been identified and material uncertainty exists, and material uncertainty exists. Certainty exists. Okay. It can be the one case where events or conditions have been identified and material uncertainty exists. Second case can be when or conditions, events or conditions have been identified, have been identified, but no material uncertainty exists. But no material uncertainty exists. Okay. If no events or condition have been added, then this standard will not apply. ये सही बात है ना कि अगर भाई कोई इवेंट्स और कंडीशंस आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हुआ, if any conditions or events have not been identified, how can this standard will apply to that conditions or events? So there can be two cases when events or conditions have been identified and material uncertainty exists, and when events or conditions have been identified but no material uncertainty exists. Okay. So what will be the auditor determine? In this case, where material uncertainty exists, इसके बाद वाला जो मैं लिखाऊंगा ना, वो आप एक ही पेज पे करना. After this section, I will write about implication for on the auditor's report. Okay, implication for the auditor's report. It should be on one page only. Okay, the ऐसा होगा तो pause the video or don't write it now. आप पूरा देख लीजिए. Okay, do the class and after that you make the notes. Okay, the auditor shall determine shall determine whether the financial statement whether the financial statements adequately adequately disclose the principal events or condition disclose the principal events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern to continue as a going concern and management plans to deal with these events or conditions and management's plans to deal with these events or conditions with these events or conditions and disclose disclose clearly that there is there is a material a material uncertainty related to events or conditions etc. Related to events or conditions exist. Okay, the adequately the auditor shall determine whether the financial statement adequately disclose the principal events or conditions that make adequately disclose the principal events or conditions and management plans to deal with the events or conditions with these events or conditions. Okay, and disclose clearly that there is a material uncertainty related to events or conditions exist. Okay, and what if events or conditions have been identified but no material uncertainty exists? For this, as there is no material uncertainty exists, as events or condition may exist, but not material uncertainty exists. Then the auditor shall determine shall evaluate sorry shall evaluate whether in view of the requirement in view of the requirement of the applicable sorry of the SRA, the the financial statement provide adequate disclosures adequate disclosures about these events or conditions about these events or conditions. The financial statement provide adequate disclosures about these events or conditions. Okay. So adequacy of disclosures में क्या क्या देखे? When events or conditions have been identified and material uncertainty exists, the auditor shall determine whether the financial statement adequately disclose the principal events or conditions and management plans to deal with these events or conditions. Okay, and disclose clearly that there is a material uncertainty exists. And when no material uncertainty exists, the auditor shall evaluate whether in view of requirement of the applicable financial reporting framework, the financial statement provides disclosure about these events or conditions. Good. And now the implication for the audit report. Please write it on single page. Don't write it now. Observe my writing and see how I am writing. After that, after the class or after that part, you can pause the video and write it, but please write it on single page only. Implication for the audit report. Implications for the audit report. There is three cases. 1, 2, and 3. First case is if use of going concern basis of accounting is inappropriate. Going concern basis of accounting is inappropriate. Is inappropriate. If use of going concern basis is if use of going concern basis of accounting is appropriate. Appropriate, but but a material uncertainty exists. And management unwilling unwilling to make or extend its assessment. Make or extend its assessment. Extend its assessment. Okay. What will be the implication for the auditor's report if use of going concern basis is inappropriate? If use of going concern basis is appropriate, but a material uncertainty exists, and if management is unwilling to make or extend its assessment. Okay. First of all, if use of going concern basis is inappropriate, then the auditor express an adverse opinion. What is adverse opinion? You will study on chapter number 8 after this chapter. The auditor shall express an adverse opinion. If use of going concern basis of accounting is appropriate, I am creating this line or making this chart in this format as it will as you only have to copy and paste this as it is, क्योंकि आपका तो मेरे जैसा इन्फानाइट जगह तो नहीं होगा, तो आप ऐसे करके लिख सकते हो, यू कैन राइट लाइक दैट. Adequate disclosure of, if material uncertainty exists, there will be two cases. If adequate disclosure of a material uncertainty, okay, material uncertainty is made in the financial statement, is made in the financial statement. Okay. And if adequate disclosure of a material uncertainty is not made in the financial statement. Adequate disclosure of a material uncertainty is not is not made in the financial statement. In the financial statement. So if the adequate disclosure have been made, then the auditor shall the auditor shall express an unmodified opinion. It is important. Express an unmodified opinion. Express an unmodified opinion. Also, the auditor's report shall include shall include separate section separate section separate section under the heading. What will be the heading? Under the heading material uncertainty relating to going concern. Material uncertainty relating to going concern. To going concern. To draw attention. Draw attention to the note to the note in the financial statement that discloses such matters and state that these events or conditions indicate that a material uncertainty exists. State that these events or conditions events or conditions indicate indicate that a material uncertainty exists. Material uncertainty exists. Okay. So the auditors will, first of all, the auditor needs to express an unmodified opinion, and auditor's report shall include separate section under the heading of material uncertainty relating to going question. To draw the attention to the note in the financial statement that disclose such matters and state that these events or conditions indicate that material uncertainty exists. And if adequate disclosures have not been made in the financial statement, then the auditor shall express an express a qualified opinion. Express a qualified opinion. Express a qualified opinion or adverse opinion or adverse opinion in the basis of in the basis of qualified or adverse opinion section of the auditor's report or the auditor's report state that state that a material uncertainty exists that may cast significant doubt may cast significant doubt and that the financial statement and that the financial statement do not adequately disclose this matter. Do not adequately disclose this matter. Okay. So express an qualified opinion or adverse opinion, and on the basis of adverse or qualified opinion section on the auditor's report, state that a material uncertainty exists that may cause significant doubt and the financial statement do not adequately disclose such matter. This matter. And the last case will be management unwilling to make or extend its assessment. The auditor shall the auditor shall express a qualified opinion. Express a qualified opinion or a disclaimer of opinion. A disclaimer of opinion of opinion. Auditor may express a qualified opinion or disclaimer of opinion. Okay. Because it may not be possible for the auditor to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence audit evidence regarding management's use of the going concern. Okay. So there is for implication or for the auditor's report there is three cases. If use of going concern basis of accounting is inappropriate, then the auditor shall express an adverse opinion. Shall express an adverse opinion. If use of going concern basis of accounting is appropriate but material uncertainty exists, it is this section. Then there can be two cases: adequate disclosure of material uncertainty is made in the financial statement, and adequate disclosure of material uncertainty not made in the financial statement. If made, then express an unmodified opinion and give a separate section, include a separate section under the heading material uncertainty relating to going concern to draw attention to the note and state that these events or conditions indicate that a material uncertainty exists. If adequate disclosure have not been made, then express an qualified or adverse opinion. In the basis of qualified or adverse opinion section of the auditor's report, state that a material uncertainty exists that may cause significant doubt and that financial statements do not adequately disclose this matter. Okay. And if management is unwilling to make or extend its assessment, the auditor shall express a qualified opinion or disclaimer of opinion. And because it may not be possible for the auditor to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding management use of going concern. Okay. So the standard of 570 going concern is over. Now today's last standard will be SF 450, evaluation of misstatement identified during the audit. This is the last standard for today. Okay. It is SF 450, 450 evaluation evaluation of misstatement identified during the audit. Identified during the audit. First of all, what are the objectives of this standard? What are the objectives of the auditors as per this standard? Objectives of the auditor is to evaluate the effect of identified misstatement in the audit of the audit on the audit. identified identified misstatement on the audit and effect of effect of uncorrected misstatement statements, if any, on the financial statement. On the financial statement. Effect of unidentified misstatement on the audit and effect of uncorrected misstatement, if any, on the financial statement. Okay. So first is effect of unidentified misstatement on the audit. First of all is consideration of consideration of identified misstatement misstatement as the progress as the audit progress. The auditor shall determine whether the overall audit strategy, whether the overall audit strategy, overall audit strategy and and audit plan need to revised if if the nature of the nature and the circumstances of the occurrence of identified misstatement of identified identified misstatement nature and the circumstances of the occurrence of identified misstatements indicate that indicate that other misstatement may exist. Other misstatement may exist that, when aggregated with statements accumulated accumulated during the audit, the audit could be material, could be material, or the nature and the circumstances of the occurrence of identified misstatement indicate that nature and the circumstances of the occurrence of identified misstatement indicate that other misstatement may exist that, when aggregated with misstatement accumulated during the audit, could be material, or the aggregate of misstatement or the aggregated misstatement or the aggregated misstatement, accumulated during the audit, the audit the audit approaches approaches materiality determined in accordance with SA 320, determined in accordance. You already did SA 320 on chapter number 3 with SA 320. Okay. Could be material or the aggregate of misstatement accumulated during the audit approaches the materiality determined in SA 320. Write a note. Okay. Note is called the auditor shall communicate on a timely basis timely basis all misstatements all misstatements accumulated during the audit accumulated during the audit unless prohibited unless prohibited by law regulation or applicable evidence prohibited and and request management to correct the misstatement correct this misstatement if if management refuses to correct some or all of the misstatements, some or all of the statements, statements communicated by the auditor, communicated by the auditor, the auditor, the auditor shall obtain an understanding, shall obtain an understanding of management reasons, of management reasons for of management reasons for not correcting the misstatement, not making the corrections, making the corrections and shall take that understanding, shall take that understanding into account when evaluating whether the financial statements, whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, as a whole are free from material misstatement. Okay, so if the auditor shall communicate on timely basis, on timely all the misstatements accumulated during the audit, unless prohibited, and request management to correct this misstatement. If management refuses to correct some or all of the misstatements, the auditor shall obtain understanding of management reasons for not making the corrections and shall take that understanding into account. Wait for 2 minutes. The account when evaluating whether the financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement. Okay. Now comes the next part, effect of uncorrected misstatement. Now comes the next part, effect of uncorrected misstatement. The auditor shall determine whether uncorrected misstatement, whether whether uncorrected misstatement uncorrected misstatement uncorrected misstatement are material individually or aggregate individually or in aggregate or in aggregate. Okay, the auditor shall determine whether uncorrected misstatements are material individually or in aggregate. In making this determination, in making this determination, the the auditor shall include auditor shall include just wait for 2 minutes. Just wait for 2 minutes. The auditor shall include the auditor shall include auditor shall consider कर दो ठीक है the auditor shall consider auditor shall consider size and nature of the misstatement and effect of uncorrected misstatement related to prior periods. Okay, size and size and nature of misstatement. Okay, size and nature of misstatement and effect of uncorrected misstatement of prior period. Prior period, if there is any uncorrected misstatement which is of prior period, then the auditor shall consider the effect of such misstatement also. The effect of uncorrected misstatements of prior period. Okay. Again, write a note. The, the auditor the auditor the auditor shall shall communicate with TCWG The auditor shall communicate with TCWG. What are the things that the auditor shall communicate with those charged with governance? Regarding regarding uncorrected misstatements, uncorrected misstatements, and their effect on auditor's report, effect on the opinion opinion on auditor's auditor's report. Okay, it shall identify. It means auditor's communication. Okay, auditor's communication. Okay, auditor's communication shall identify shall identify uncorrected misstatement, uncorrected corrected misstatement shall communicate either communication shall identify uncorrected misstatement individually, not just uncorrected misstatement, material uncorrected misstatement. Material uncorrected misstatement individually and shall request request that misstatement should be corrected and effect of uncorrected misstatement related to prior period. Effect of uncorrected uncorrected misstatement related to prior period. Okay. The auditor shall communicate with PCWG regarding uncorrected misstatement and their effect on the opinion on the auditor's report. Auditor's communication shall identify material uncorrected misstatement individually and shall request that misstatement should be corrected, and effect of uncorrected misstatement related to prior period. Note number 2 will be the auditor shall request a written representation from management and where appropriate TCWG, those charged with governance, whether they believe whether they believe the effects of uncorrected misstatement are immaterial individually or in aggregate. They believe are immaterial individually or in aggregate, to the financial statement as a whole, to the statement as a whole. And a summary of such item and a summary of such item shall be included in or attached to the written representation. Written representation. It means that the auditor shall request a written representation from management and where appropriate TCWG whether they believe that the effects of uncorrected misstatement are immaterial individually or in aggregate to the financial statement as a whole, and a summary of such items shall be included in or attached to written representation. Okay, and the last topic is documentation. It is the last topic for today. Then the class will be over. Documentation. The auditor The audit documentation shall include amount below which misstatement would be as clearly amount below which amount below which misstatement could be. Just wait for 2 minutes. Amount below which misstatement would be regarded as would be regarded as clearly trivial. Trivial means not so important or little important. Amount below which misstatement would be regarded as clearly trivial. All the misstatement accumulated during the audit and whether they have been corrected, accumulated during the audit and whether they have been corrected and whether they have been corrected and the auditor's conclusion the auditor's conclusion as to as to whether uncorrected misstatement are material, whether uncorrected misstatement are material individually or in aggregate, individually or in aggregate, aggregate, and the basis for that conclusion, and the basis for that conclusion, basis for that conclusion. Okay. So audit documentation shall include amount below which misstatement would be regarded as clearly trivial. Uh, that amount can be performance materiality. If you remember, all the misstatements accumulated during the audit, SA 5, SA 320, performance materiality. All the misstatements accumulated during the audit and whether they have been corrected, and the auditor's conclusion as to whether uncorrected misstatements are material individually or in aggregate, and the basis for conclusion. Okay. So today's class is over, and um, tomorrow we will discuss about SA 580, and if time permits, then SA 260 also. So if you like this video, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Bye.